the issue of 60, 120, 180 days, right? Because, and I really just need you to do a narration of how we got to 180 days, because it's clear that the Road Accident Fund, the time period stipulated in the legislation, I think it's, how long is it, 120? 120 days, could not be, right? And I'm not asking for a thesis, I'm really just asking for storytelling. How do we end up at 180?
Chair, I'll try the storytelling and I'll try to be very quick. So the 120 is the days we are required to settle a claim. And part of the story is that you then have that 120 days passing without the documents to settle the claim, because they would have not been submitted during lodgement, your author's report and so on. That's the first part. The 180, Chair, is that after settlement, now that there's an agreement between, after however days, there's an agreement between the RAF and the claimant or the representatives of the claimant, it will then take 180 days from date of settlement or date of court order. Then it will be 180 days for payment. So those are two things. The 120 is to settle a claim that comes through to the fund, and then the 180 is to pay after the settlement or a court order has been issued. I hope I covered you, Chair.
So wasn't the 180 days is not in the legislation, right? How does it arise?
So the 180, Chair, my understanding again is that it was to deal with the availability of funds to pay claims within the RAF, and I think there was a court process that was followed. Hence, this thing then went in front of particular judges to give the RAF a dispensation to pay claims, just the payment portion, within 180 days from a date of a court order issued or a settlement is issued.
No, thank you very much. Where are you now in terms of? Are you still at 180? Have you now managed to wrestle this thing down and you are now at 7 days? Okay, that's a bit hopeful, but you know what I mean.
So, Chair, I think we're still there in terms of, from a court order perspective, the process are still on. The RAF is engaging with lawyers around that process and the stakeholders in that space, because that court order came to an end at some stage, somewhere. They say, I just forgot the dates. So that's where we are with that process, Chair. I know there has been exchange of communication between the RAF and all the stakeholders that are involved. I know the board also has been part of has been dealing with trying to resolve this issue of payments.
Okay, but we're still at somewhere around 180
Yes.
days or more.
We're still there.
Okay, all right. Final question. So in the Road Accident Fund annual report, so there is an interesting graph. And for the members, is the document called RAF Inquiry Briefing, or I can't see all of it, which was sent to the members with the pack, but it's the one done by our researchers themselves. So I am looking at page 7 of 8. Okay, so I'm just going to ask for your comment. Okay, and I am going to tell you what my conclusion is out of the statistic, right? And I'll do my best to represent it because you are not looking at it. And that is in 2019-2020, the claims registered were 303,695. Finalized, 258,382. And then total outstanding was 359,190. We will all accept that information to be true. The numbers dropped significantly during 2020, and I think COVID becomes the explanation partly, right? So I would expect that to be the case. 2021, 2022, the number drops further than it did during COVID, which is 83,104, right? 2021 happens to be also the year the RAF 1 form at the time gets challenged by Busuku, right? So the judgment is given in 2021 itself, right? The Road Accident Fund actually waits a longer time and then only obtains the opinion in February. But that's not your baby. That's somebody else's baby. Waits until February to get legal opinion on the same thing. But what we see is that virtually the number of claims registered never recovers. So 2021 is 83,104. 2022-23, it's 92,385. The number of claims finalized is 86,436. And that has fallen precipitously from claims finalized 258,300. It's literally a fraction thereafter. 2023-2024, 79,000 registered, 63,000 finalized. The interesting thing is that the number of claims outstanding basically never drops. It's now exceeding 400,000. This is from the annual report. So that gives me this picture, that notwithstanding the drastic reduction in the number of claims actually registered, you actually just never able to finalize the. In fact, if anything, the number accelerates. It's grown. It was 400,000. Sometimes it's over 400,000 now. It's 439. So it's kept climbing. Can you assist the committee with, firstly, this assertion that the drop in the number of claims registered is attributable to this RAF? This RAF 1 form, the new one, right? In the sense that the majority are rejected, right? What worries me is the following, that there appears to have been capacity previously to finalize 258,382. Now you are at 63,000. But is it attributable to this RAF 1 form, the new one, or the board that comes out of the board directive? That's the one thing. The second question that I've got is whether you've got any insight into why it's remained difficult to settle or reduce the number of outstanding claims. And as I understand, that should be the people that Mr. Mkabela said you are busy phoning to. The final thing I want to ask is that the average per claim paid has actually continued to increase. As of 31st, this is also from your own internal documents. In 2019, let's say in 2019, 2020 was 2019 was 114,000, 2020 138,000. By 31st of March last year, it was 286,825 per claim. So you see the mathematical problem that we now have. You used to be able to settle, to basically finalize 258,382 one way or another. Now you're finalizing 63,000, but you are paying more. Can you give an insight on that? I'm trying to understand why that would be the case. I'll leave it there. But from a value for money perspective, if you're able to settle at a lower average, sure, I can get, but there might be an explanation that I don't know about.
Chair, I suspect I'll find it difficult to speak to those numbers, and if I had them before so that I can understand what could have happened. When I hear you speak about the drop in registration, what I presented also showed that fact that the RAF 1 obviously reduces registration of claims based on non-compliant claims. That's a straightforward one. In terms of the and then the settlement.
Sorry, so in other words, in terms of the board directive, and it is important, I'd like the members to note this. So in terms of the board directive, those claims are non-compliant.
Yes.
Right. Let me ask this question, it's very important. If the courts decide finally that this actually new directive is not compliant at all, it just cannot be used, right? Is there somewhere where those claims you rejected are registered and kept so that you can, because you will have to unwind that mess. Have you kept it somewhere?
So the pre-assessment system where these claims are pre-assessed, Chair, they are then identified, even though they're not registered within the organization.
Okay, so they're registered. I'd like the Secretary to record that as an accounting issue to raise at a later stage, okay?
Chair, I'm saying even though they're not registered,